Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. KermMartian here, back with Train Simulator 2021. This is 2021 number 1. My first time playing Train Simulator 2021, which just came out yesterday. As always, it's really just a new version of Train Simulator 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, etc. With a new badge. This is KermMartian Live number 39. I feel like it should be more than that at this point. But alas, it is not, because I've been so busy lately. We are in an interesting train that does not exist and probably would never exist in real life, but that will make things all the more fun. You saw a brief flash of it if you were hanging out here before the video started when I was setting up my stream. If you're a train fanatic, you might recognize this cab here. But I am in a P42, a Genesis P42. We are not at an American train station, of course. We are at London's King's Cross station, the south end of the East Coast Main Line. So let me show you our train today. At the front, we have a, as I said, P42, but this is no ordinary P42. This is a P42 in CPRR livery. You may certainly have seen CPRR-based things in my past videos, and I'm sure I'll do my usual thing of talking about it as we go. But let's see, 152 is what Train Simulator picked for me. But I have a shiny, glossy, brand new, reskinned P42 in CPRR maroon, gold, and black. Now this is pulling a set of HSTs, the high-speed trains that have recently been either partially or completely retired in the UK, much to my great chagrin that I never got to ride them before they were retired. And I hear the babble of our passengers on the platform. And bringing up the rear just for fun, we have a Hitachi Class 802, what are now currently used on the Great Western Railway. But this is my prototype of CPRR1, my private self-propelled train car. Without further ado, let me hop in and address all these things that are flashing by on my chat. 2021, yeah, it looks great. Train Sim World looks nice. None of it is perfect. We'll talk about that. Thank you for the kind words, John. Yes, I will talk about that as well. Things are going well on the startup front. Also, it continues to be hilarious to me how much bigger American trains are than British trains. You can see that the width and height of my locomotive is so much larger than the HSTs, which are themselves not small trains. All right, before we get going, let us set our headlights up. I would actually play with the dial on my dashboard, but luckily I know the keys. The headlights are a little bit overwhelming on the P42, but there we go. Let's ring our horn, blow our horn. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Got a bell, very good. Oh, you know what? Before we go, why don't we open our doors and give our passengers a chance to board? Very good. There we go. Doors are open. Ladies and gentlemen, as you board this train, please be aware that this is a slow service to Peterborough, stopping at all points in between. I wanted to set up a real scenario where it would actually force me to stop at stations, but we're just going to do the quick drive thing of deciding to stop at any platforms that we come across that we feel like stopping at. Alright, guard has blown his whistle, so let us get ourselves into forward, which we're already in, release our brakes, and get going. Ooh, and there's another HST coming in on the right there. We've got the highball, speed limit is 15 miles an hour as we navigate the King's Cross ladder, and we're off. You can see what I mean about how overwhelming these headlights are. Hello there, Day with Jake. Thank you for joining us. This is not a very helpful camera angle. Oh look, some sort of construction works going on here. What I'm trying to do is watch my train depart, and we're speeding already. Never a dull moment. There we go. Look at this train. Such a train. But let me try to apply professionalism, not actually speed. Back under the speed limit, take off my dynamics, and crawl out of King's Cross. All right, so I have really very little idea how long this scenario is going to take. I seem to remember it being somewhere in the range of like 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less, to get from King's Cross to Peterborough on slow lines. But we shall see. We shall see indeed. So, we were talking about this. Yeah, nice start. Thank you. We were talking about this before we actually got started, but how has everyone been? I know some of you are working on schoolwork today. Some of you are working on Chemitech-related projects. What is up? No, those people are definitely not following social distancing rules. I would be very amused if Train Simulator implemented some sort of masks on the passengers and proper social distancing. Exactly. They need their face masks. What a source of stress. All right. We have a 45-mile-an-hour limit. Let us get going. Also, is that red up there for us? I don't believe it is. We are going under the high-speed 1 tunnel now. That's what that strange tunnel above us is. Of course, we have to wait while Train Simulator creaks its way through loading the next section, which it has done. We still have a green. Very good. Go us. 10 out of 10 camera angle, wood camera again. Gotta love that purr of a diesel. A mask on the front of the train, I like it. And we're speeding again. Just getting out the kinks. Just shaking out the cobwebs of it being, let's see, June, July, August, September. 4 months since I have done a Train Simulator stream. That is unacceptable. Heading into a 55-mile-an-hour zone soon. Now we're moving quite speedily. We have quite the acceleration for just having a single diesel at the front of this train. I believe Amtrak guidelines call for a new diesel locomotive for every 6 cars. So I think the CPRR1, come on Train Simulator, you can do it, that we have at the back may be helping to push us along. That may be a thing that is happening right now. Ooh, we're about to speed. I caught it. Me too, John. Me too. It's been too long since I have done one. And, I know I say this every time, but hopefully I can convince myself to actually do them and not find excuses to do, like, work or whatever. Now, are we going to try to stop at Finsbury Park? I don't know if it's giving me a platform, but let's pretend we are. Put on some brakes and think about stopping. Sorry, that's Finsbury Park Junction down slow. We're not quite at the platform yet, but it looks like we're going to get a platform. What is my computer like? Well, you all know that I have 5 monitors, and I am playing on 1 monitor. I know I promised every single time that I am going to put a camera behind me and show you what it's like to play across all of my monitors. One day that will be a thing, I promise. I do promise. Among other things, I don't really have like a webcam. I guess I'd have to use my phone. That's probably what youngsters do these days, use their phone as a camera. Let's put on some brakes so we can actually stop. We have quite the weight of train behind us. 5 monitors. I have an i7, but an i7 that's about 7 years or 8 years old at this point. 16 gigs of RAM, a modern 8 gigabyte graphics card. I forget, as I said at the beginning, I forget exactly what card I have, which is very embarrassing. I'm going to have to overhang this locomotive because we have such a long train and we're only going to get some of these cars on the platform. Come on, train. You can do it. What do I have? I have an S8. Yeah, you're right. My phone has a better camera than any of my computers. Even my brand new laptop's webcam is quite disappointing. You know what? I think we're going to get pretty much the entire train on the platform. Let's give it a stop and see how we did. Doors open. Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at Finsbury Park. If Finsbury Park is for some reason your destination, then you should probably alight here. doors did not open for whatever reason. Because Train Simulator doesn't know that this is an actual station that we want to stop at. All right, that's fine. We'll just pretend that we stopped here for a while. The doors opened, and then we wanted to get going again. I did not remind the ladies and gentlemen to take their belongings with them, but let's trust that they know how to do that. Of course, we have the delayed brakes that the P42 has, wherein we must wait for release. There we go, and off we go. Note 20 Ultra 5G. I didn't even know there were Note like 11s, let alone Note 20. Still in that 55-mile-an-hour zone as we depart Finsbury Park. Of course, I'm doing what is almost certainly a horrifically bad idea and trying to look up what my graphics card is while I operate. Let's not do that. Let's pay attention to the trains. 10 to 20, this is like Firefox. Firefox was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then suddenly it's like Firefox 80 or something. You're right, Phoenix. Train Simulator has basically not changed at all. I mean, they added a 64-bit version at some point. They have added a few more routes every year, but honestly, nothing to write home about. And even one of the flagship routes that they added in Train Sim 2021, the West Coast Main Line. Sorry, not West Coast Main Line. The West Coast Main Line that the GWR operates on. I think we're going to not bother trying to stop at Haringey. I want to keep up a little bit of excitement here. We don't want to stop every 5 seconds. So I will be a polite operator, and I will blow my horn to warn the passengers waiting at this station that we are not going to stop for them. This is also a very short platform. Far too short for our extremely long train. Exactly, they just re-release Train Sim every year without changing too much about it. Train Sim World is their big new thing. It's based on the Unreal Engine. It looks much, much prettier, and it seems to have the unfortunate limitation that routes can only be like 20 or 30 miles long, and anything longer than that it cannot handle. So I have really played very little of it. I have not very much enjoyed what I've done with it so far. You would. You would do that. Yep, you're absolutely right. They've done pretty much nothing with the graphics engine. I think it's DirectX 10. I don't even think it supports like modern rendering systems. We are going to try to stop at the station and see how we do. I stopped last time. I did my overhang based on what the UI was showing me where the edge of the platform is. That's that little green line on the bottom of the interface. And I saw that it had quite significantly lied to me. So if you see what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get the back of my locomotive just at the edge of the platform. Let's call that reasonable. Put on some brakes. Theoretically open the doors, as we know they're not going to actually open. And see how we did. Alright, that's better-ish. Oh, the doors actually did open. Amazing. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Hornsey. Wait for those doors to close. Love my maroon and gold, as you know, Central Park Railroad. I will talk about the Central Park Railroad as I always do, because you never know who's joining the stream for the very first time. I don't know about the textures being updated. I don't know about that at all. I know there's quite a few scenarios. I mean, take this, the ECML. They still have trains here that haven't existed in the real world for 4 or 5 years. Train companies that have long ceased having their franchises. So they very much are in the groove of making money on the game and not putting a lot of effort into it. You can see that it is fall. It is 6:14 p.m. and because it is a little bit late in the day, it looks like it's getting along towards sunset. So that should be nice. I know I always talk about how much I enjoy sunsets and trains, and screenshot, trains and sunsets. We've got another train. Yeah, that train, for example, is in a livery that doesn't exist anymore. All right, so let me tell you a little bit. Excellent profit model indeed. They do progressive loading in this train simulator. So every once in a while when it does that really jerky frame rate where it drops to like 1 frame per second, that is because it's loading the next section. I don't know if that was impossible to implement in Unreal. I know for GeoPipe, you know, we investigated loading our maps into Unreal, and there are some difficulties with needing to have every single model that you're going to load loaded when the scenario starts. I don't know if they're working their way around that. They just released this brand new Train Sim World 2 that's supposed to be better. I don't know if it actually is. We shall see. Also, this train has excellent brakes, and I am being far too aggressive in my attempt to not overshoot the platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to stop at Alexandra Palace, Platform 3. If Alexandra Palace is your final destination, please look around your seat. Make sure you have all of your belongings, and mind the gap as you alight from today's train. I haven't done a slow service on this line in a very, very long time. I think there's a good reason not to use such a long, heavy train for this. It is hard to stop on a dime. That is not an ideal stop. Yeesh. I'm not proud of that one. Ladies and gentlemen, please be advised, if you're in the first 2 carriages of today's train, you will need to very quickly make your way to the 3rd carriage or back. Our engineer apologizes for any inconvenience. And where are my gauges here? Let's see. Overspeed is set at 100. I don't think that's modifiable. So in parts of this route, you can go speedily, but I do not think there's any way to change that so this train will go above 100 without complaining. Check out our back. Doors are closed. Release our brakes. Double horn. Off we go. That would be excellent. It would technically be underwater. I've certainly taken you all underwater before. When we have... Come on, release the brakes. When we have dived under the East River, going from Penn Station out along the northeast corridor. That's certainly underwater of a sort. My brakes are busy releasing because I went into emergency, put my brakes at 100. There we go. Speed of light train, that would be fun. Trains in lakes and sunsets. I do like taking pictures across lakes at sunset. If you follow me on Instagram, I have posted the odd picture across Lake Champlain in Vermont at sunset. Probably my favorite lake. Also, because I am the engineer of this train, I will consult with my conductor because the engineer is not in charge of the train, the conductor is. Fun fact, if you didn't know that. I'm going to consult with my conductor and decide we are going to make select stops. So, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for any inconvenience, but if you wanted to get off at some of our stops today, you will discover that you cannot, and you will find out as we breeze through those stations. We will be happy to give you a ticket to stop at the next station and get a slow service back to where you wanted to get off. But we are going to keep ourselves going a little bit more speedily today. Wheel slip is absolutely a thing in Train Simulator, yes. If the rails are wet, or if you're trying to accelerate too rapidly with a train that is too heavy, you will absolutely wheel slip. So the physics are not bad. Train Sim World, I think, basically has nonsense wheel slip physics, where you can just full throttle in the middle of an icy rainstorm and you'll shoot off the platform. Yeah, if you could have the route length of and physics simulation of Train Simulator with the ability to get off the train and walk around of Train Sim World, I would be a very happy camper. You know, I don't think they actually simulate anything like Leaves on the Line, unfortunately. We are going to pass right through New Southgate, so I'll blow my horn. Ooh, and let's see if we can get a nice shot of our train going by. Yeah, here we go. That is the stuff. That is what I am talking about. Very nice. Getting up towards 75, let us not speed. They do simulate Doppler audio. They do indeed do that. That is a thing. Yeah, it's pretty inconsistent what they do simulate. I'm sure they sort of optimize for what people care about. You know, in terms of having Doppler shift on the audio, no leaves on the line, yes, wheel slip in ice and snow. You know, they do a pretty good job also of simulating things like, you know, air masses on the train, in that if you apply the brakes really hard, it should take a lot longer for your brakes to release, and it does. So, yeah, you know, I am far from a rivet counter, although as I was trying to make the skin of the beautiful CPRR P42 that we are operating, I did spend a very, very long time trying to figure out how to paint the rivets, but I am certainly not a rivet counter. If you're not familiar, rivet counter is the derogatory term for a foamer who insists on the most realism, especially a model train foamer. Foamer, of course, being a term in turn for somebody who is so excited at seeing a train that they foam at the mouth. Usually used by railroad personnel to derogatorily refer to train fans. Ladies and gentlemen, our next station stop will be New Barnet. New Barnet in 3/4 of a mile. I will idle our throttle and let us lose a little speed from air resistance and friction. Not that much, apparently. Put on a little bit of braking. As I've mentioned many a time before, I have operated trains and trolleys. Almost all the ones that I have operated use, at best, straight air brakes, which means unlike these brakes where I just sort of set it to the amount of braking I want and it happens. Oh, went into emergency. We don't want emergency one. Continuous. Oh boy. It's alright. It's alright. Checking out the rust. Will our last carriage stay on the platform? I apologize. This is not the professionalism that we aim for. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that only the passengers in our rear carriage today may alight at New Barnet. Everyone else, you are out of luck. I am the calculator guy. Hello there, Alexander. I am the calculator guy. You know, it's funny. I think the vast majority of my roughly 3,100 subscribers on YouTube are there for the calculators, not for the trains. So it's an odd overlap. There we go. Doors are closed. Back on the front. Release our brakes and get going. So I wonder how many people subscribe to me for trains, see that I'm streaming, come see the stream, and are like, wait, this is trains. This has nothing to do with calculators. What even is happening? And either like, cool, trains, I like trains, I'll stick around, or say, oh, I only wanted calculators, I'm going to unsubscribe now. Yeah, you are calculator people, but I am the calculator guy. As you know, my nickname as you may know, my nickname in high school was Calculator Boy. So I wear that badge proudly. Pulling out a New Barnet platform with our quite ponderous train. I heard a horn. I think that was just a car. Let's see if we can get some nice screenshot action as we pull out of New Barnet. Yeah. Screenshot time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 coaches. Very nice. Very nice. See if I can convince Train Simulator. Let me take another screenshot like that. Come on. It doesn't always like to put the camera by the side of the tracks for whatever reason, so I'll do it myself. Let's do the other side this time. Oh yeah. So what do you all think of the maroon and gold? Obviously, I'm quite fond of maroon. You know, have you noticed Chematech? It's all maroon. But, you know, that's my particular conceit. Incidentally, most of the schools I've gone to have had maroon as one of their colors, and quite a few of them have had gold as a school color as well. So either I've been extraordinarily lucky, or maroon is just a sort of excellent regal color to begin with. I'm glad you figured out how much memory your washing machine has relative to your calculator. You are in good company among people who do things like jailbreak their calculators, connect their calculators to the internet, write games for their calculators, write chat programs for their calculators, write web browsers for their calculators, write operating systems and shells for their calculators, all that good stuff. What is the difference between Barnett and Barnett? 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 Do I just have to smash the words together better? Barnett? Barnett! Barnett! I bet that's what it is. Barnett instead of Barnett. Barnett. Let's see if I get a confirmation on that. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Better without gradients. Yeah, I don't think gradients on a train look particularly good. I know some of the modern Scottrail trains have like a, oh, what's it called? Like the newsprint dots to mix blue into white, and I think it looks pretty snazzy. Halftone. I think it looks quite snazzy indeed. But yeah, agree that gradients are really not the thing for trains. I know I'm in dynamic braking. I'm doing that for a reason, because I want to slow down properly and stop at Potter's Bar. Let's see if I can avoid massively overshooting the platform this time. Except now I'm slowing down too fast. It would never make for good YouTube content or good streams, but the right way to do this is to keep driving the same route over and over again until you know where all the speed limits are, you know where to start slowing down for all the platforms. But, you know, while good for the real world, that's bad for entertainment. I don't know about TI bringing back assembly support. You know, as you know, there is a real Doors CE. In fact, I think some of you people actually have Doors CE for the TI-84 Plus CE. I know I gave it to some real world people, especially some people who came to Maker Faire. So, Pie Man, I'm pretty sure you have it. I know I'm fanning my brakes here, and that's terribly unprofessional. I apologize. Fanning brakes is a bad thing. Oh, I was saying before, I totally interrupted myself. I'm used to operating trains. Come on, you can do it. That have straight air, like you have to say, I want to add a little air to the brakes, and then hold that, add a little air, hold that, or release a little air, and then hold that. Whereas with this train, you just set the brake where you want it, and that's the amount of braking effort you get. Yep. Fun stuff, if you care about that sort of thing. All right. Potter's Bar. This station stop will be Potter's Bar. As always, please remember all of your belongings. Thank you for riding the Central Park Railroad, and mind the gap. Doors are open. You may not have it. I'm sorry. Doors CE is extraordinarily buggy. There were quite a few glitches that I never had a chance to iron out. It is just an assembly program, and it relies on a pretty horrible bootstrapping process to, you know, put itself on the calculator in the first place. I am not particularly proud of it, which is why I've never even released a version of it. I've alluded in the past to the fact that Doors CE was supposed to be released at some point. Specifically, the hybrid library section of Doors CE was supposed to be released in a form that would have made it quite widely accessible, but I'm afraid that never happened. one day I'm going to confirm if I can actually tell the story of how that was supposed to happen, and you can read between the lines to figure out why hybrid libraries would have been a thing that was more widely available. But I'm disappointed to say that it never really panned out. I don't know. A lot of it was the factors that were supposed to make it available went somewhere between extraordinarily slowly and not at all. Another part of it was, I had started GeoPipe at that point, my startup, and time was at a premium. But alas, I'm with the removal of assembly, I'm pretty confident that Doors CE will never make its way to the calculators, and I'm extremely pessimistic to say that hybrid libraries will ever make it as well. I mean, and even look at their, I can honestly say nobody's ever given me confirmation on this one way or the other. I strongly suspect they're going to bring Python to the 84 CE, a plus C, sorry, Brandon. Sooner or later that the American calculators are going to get Python, but we shall see. I'm pretty sure I've posted screenshots of Doors CE on Chematech, so you can certainly get some eye candy. Wait, the version you have, the version I released to my friends, or not released, the version that I in person loaded onto your calculators did not have hybrid support? Really? That is interesting. Let's talk about trains for a moment. Our next stop is Brookman's Park. The next station we'll be passing through is Brookman's Park, continuing to take executive action and make executive decisions here to not stop at some of our stations. You see we have a 55-mile-an-hour limit coming up, so I will slow down a little bit for that. Also get us a couple more screenshots here as the sun gets lower in the sky. Screenshot. And screenshot. Very nice. I do love my sunsets. Power off. Put on a little bit of brake. See if we can slow down to 55 nice and smoothly so our passengers that are enjoying some tea do not spill their tea. Very nice. There we go. Barely runs any programs. That's disappointing here. Disappointing to hear, Pieman. Why would they do something so sensible? I don't know. Call it endless optimism that they might actually do something nice for the calculators. I'm a little bit surprised we haven't heard more from them in the wake of all the backlash about assembly removal. I suspect they did not anticipate as much pushback as there was, but there it is. Let's stop at Welham Green. Welham Green coming up. I have to say, speaking of endless, I remain surprised that endless is actually a thing. I would have thought that either TI or the community would tire of the cat and mouse game, or the community would run out of exploits, or TI would run out of weaknesses to leave in the calculators, but I guess not. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your engineer speaking. Our next stop is Welham Green. Welham Green will be our next stop. So what about you guys? I feel like I'm monologuing here, and I don't like to monologue. I like to respond to what you all have to say. Any train-related thoughts or questions while we're talking? Not that I don't enjoy calculator banter. By the way, I should let you know, although YouTube chat seems to be working just fine. Oh, I should probably slow down. It seems to me that Twitch chat is much... Oh boy, here we go. Much better at... Oh, I don't know about this. I'm really shaking out the rust. I'm so glad this is not a scenario with a score. No, I refuse to drive into a lake. Unacceptable. There will be no lakes on today's train. Lakes and trains do not get along. Trains don't need drinks of water. Ladies and gentlemen, our operator today is quite rusty. He apologizes for constantly overshooting stations. See, now all these people have to walk up to actually get on the train. See how inconsiderate? Look at them, rushing to make sure they actually catch the train. Oh, you're working on an HL layout. I either didn't know or forgot about that. What sort of era are you modeling, John? And they've been building the light rail for quite a while, haven't they, Pie Man? All right. Guard says we can go. We're going to go. And I remember to take a reduction to reduce the amount of brakes I had on while I was sitting there, which means our brakes release faster, and off we go. Huzzah! Good train. Well done, train. Very good. I have to be nice to my train so it will cooperate. Just like I have to be nice to my code so it will cooperate. Because I got water on myself like a train. I was actually quite surprised to see that, although these trains tend to be way cleaner than real trains are, that they do actually have a spot of rust in the skin that I retained. Let's take some screenshots here. Oh yes. So the TLDR version, the CPRR, the Central Park Railroad, is an imaginary railroad that I designed when I was a small child. Intended originally to operate around Central Park, New York Central Park. Later became a thing that I wanted to be a worldwide railroad. It was supposed to open on my birthday in 2015. It did not, but I remain excited to one day have my own personal train car called CPRR1, which is the sort of the train that's bringing up the rear here. It will look a bit like that. That is the plan. I will keep you posted as that becomes a reality, because I refuse to accept defeat. Actual elevated track sections and a few stations. That's good to hear, Pie Man. I'm glad. I'm glad they're actually moving along. Have they been continuing to work on the elevated train during the pandemic? I will get to that too. I have to do the requisite wishing everybody, well, and hoping that you all and your families and everyone is staying safe, healthy, and sane. By the way, I have a Inspire CX CAS 2. No, non-CAS. Excuse me. Inspire CX 2 that I have been meaning to do a review video on for a long time. So, if you are here more because you like my calculator stuff than because you like my train stuff, rest assured that sooner or later I will post that review. I don't like putting a ton of Inspire stuff on my channel. As you know, I'm not a huge Inspire fan, and if I'm being sufficiently humble, I don't feel that I'm the most qualified Inspire reviewer, since I have spent so little time using it compared to the TI-84 Plus family. But that is the thing that I have, and I feel like I might as well do a review of it at some point. Thank you, iPhoenix. Yes, GeoPipe just succeeded in winning a $1 million investment from a program called Genius New York that we've been part of for the last 8 or 9 months. It's a big step for us because it means that in the midst of a pandemic, we don't have to do fundraising, and we should be able to continue growing our team, hiring pretty aggressively, building our product, and getting more customers for the next, X number of months or even a little bit longer. So if you didn't see that news, feel free to check out my personal Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those good things, or GeoPipes. We're pretty much GeoPipe or GeoPipe_INC everywhere, and I think this is going to work out way better than usual. This being stopping at a platform. Yeah, that's professionalism right there. That is professionalism. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this station stop is Hatfield. If Hatfield is your final destination, please make sure you have your belongings. Watch the gap as you alight, and mind the gap, and we look forward to welcoming you on the Central Park Railroad again very soon. If you are joining us here at Hatfield, this is a semi-fast service from London King's Cross to Peterborough. Welcome aboard. It was once pointed out to me that I have a deeper, more authoritative voice that I use when telling people about technical things and explaining things than I do when I'm just sort of having a conversation, and I think I definitely have a separate conductor's voice that people have commented on in the past. Unfortunately, I don't think I use my conductor voice when I operate excursions at the museum at which I volunteer. I should. I think that would be a lot of fun. It's hard to apply it when I'm actually looking at people's faces in real life. Feels a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Mind the gap. Thank you. I have received confirmation that, I think I've been corrected on this in the past, so thank you for that recorrection. Mind the gap. Sorry, I've got to inject a little bit of my strange Americanisms into my semi-British, semi-American trains. Trains, yeah, they do have kind of a blameless culture. Like, if there is a tractor trailer in front of your train, if you throw it into emergency and basically sit on the horn, it is not your fault if you hit that tractor trailer that's across the tracks. It is, from what I've heard, pretty traumatic, especially if people die, obviously. But you do not get blamed. The only thing is, I think there's a mandatory drug testing that occurs, but assuming that you don't fail the drug test and you threw on the brakes, trains take a very long time to stop. You have seen this in this stream. Trains are a lot of mass moving very, very quickly. If you run through a red light, there's usually a 1 tolerance to 0 tolerance policy. Usually if you run a red signal once, you get suspended for a certain amount of time, like 2 weeks. If you run a red signal twice, you're pretty much fired. See you later, The Last Millennial. I'm glad you were able to join us for the amount of time you were, and I'm sure I'll see you around Chemetech. Please hold me to doing train streams more frequently. Well, yeah, exactly. You can't, you can't turn the train to not hit it. Yeah. If you do something that is obviously your fault, like run a signal, then things go very poorly for you indeed. If it is something that is clearly you did everything you could, then you are extremely blameless. Ladies and gentlemen, next station stop will be Welwyn Garden City. You can see it crawling up on my HUD. As I was saying earlier, in a perfect world where I was really professional at this, I would do these routes often enough that I did not need that HUD at the bottom, that I would know the next stations, I would know the gap between stations, I would know the landmarks that should tell me when the next station is coming up. But I do not, so I have to rely on that HUD at the bottom. So I apologize. This isn't the Polar Express. We can't Tokyo drift across a frozen lake. I'm sure you all have, or many of you have seen the YouTube video where they apply the Tokyo Drift theme song to the train Tokyo drifting across the lake. If you have not, I highly recommend you search what I'm talking about, because it will make you laugh. Clearly Train Simulator needs to let you Tokyo drift across frozen lakes. Hello, slow train going the other direction. Of course, I must comment that we are on the wrong side of the tracks. Just like cars, trains should travel on the right side of the right-of-way. But we are on the left side. How strange. I know. It's the right side for the British trains. I'm being silly. How is our stopping going to be? We shall see. By the way, you may have also noticed one of the tricks of stopping with trains is that, unlike a car, there's a significant time delay between applying the brakes and getting, stopping action, and releasing the brakes and having the brakes stop applying. So you have to kind of anticipate what you're going to need to do and judge it accordingly. Ooh, this might be good. Very nice. It looks like I overhung the first carriage a little bit too much, but I'll take it. Ladies and gentlemen, Welwyn Garden City. Yep, I overhung that first carriage. Oh well. Ladies and gentlemen, the first carriage, please walk back to the second carriage. Thank you. And we have gardens here. I think For quite some time in my streams, possibly just on my own, I thought Welland Garden City was called Welland Garden City because there are these gardens on the platform. I think I concluded that Welland Garden City is Welland Garden City because it is a garden city, and that is a thing in England, and that it has these gardens on the platform because it is a garden city, not vice versa. If you are perhaps a British person who knows these things and wouldn't mind chiming in to tell me authoritatively which is which, I would be grateful. Who's being excused? No, I Phoenix. See you soon. You should tell A. Cagliano that instead of making you join Minecraft, that he should join Trains, and then when I get all the way to Peterborough, that you can both go play Minecraft. That is clearly the right decision. You refuse? Alright, fine. Fine. I thought I would have the benefit of a proper English person's expertise, but, you know, I guess I was mistaken. I can't believe you betrayed us, Cagliano. Excuse me, I Phoenix. See, I'm even going to call you the wrong name now because you betrayed us so badly. Trying to play Minecraft instead of watching Trains. Unacceptable. So garden cities are indeed the thing that came first. And is it as it sounds, like cities that have lots of gardens and want to be, you know, green and well-groomed and attractive and not about, I don't know, I certainly think of gardens as explicitly being the thing that people have in their houses, you know, behind their houses or in front of their houses. Is it that, or is it gardens in the sense of lots of parks and greenery and flowers about? Ooh, I think we need some viaduct screenshot action, by the way. I'm still curious about the answer here, though. As you can see, night is falling. It's getting a little darker as our train speeds by, with a single pantograph up in the entire train. Time for some tunnel action. Unfortunately, this tunnel does not go underneath a lake, so I can't make you guys happy that I'm under the water. Gardens everywhere. Thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate it. 2 years, Pie Man. That is unacceptable. You are contributing to the downfall of the Chematech Minecraft server, and you should feel bad. Oh, that is a flashing double yellow. Hello. I don't know what that's about, but uh-oh. Did I miss it? Oh, I missed an AWS alert. That's upsetting. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by while our brakes are in emergency because I was outside the train and I missed an AWS alert. How annoying. Well, we'll certainly stop for the red signal that's apparently coming up from the single flashing yellow that you see immediately in front of us. How can you get whitelisted on the server? You can either ask on the forum or you can ask on Discord. We actually have a separate Discord server for the Chematech Minecraft server, something that I'm, you know, usually a little bit annoyed about, but sometimes also grateful about, because the user base that joins our Minecraft server is not necessarily the same type of user base that joins our Chematech main Discord and that we want on Chematech. So, I don't know. Anyway, either post on the forum or talk on Discord. I now have in front of me a picture of a very pretty bit of greenery and fountain and fluffy clouds and a blue sky in Welland Garden City. So, can it confirm is gardenous. I can say play.chematech.net is a good place to start. I don't remember if it actually has an FAQ about getting whitelisted on our Minecraft server. While we're talking about Train Simulator and Minecraft and something and everything, what Did we just go into emergency again? That's strange. Huh. Our train is very confused. I don't know what that's about. Interesting. Interesting. So I started to get going and was immediately thrown into emergency. Maybe if I keep the speed down, that won't happen? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for any inconvenience. We are slightly delayed while our engineer tries to puzzle out why we keep getting stopped. We will do our best to get you to your final destination as soon as possible. Thank you for riding Central Park Railroad. I broke my train. No, I don't want to break my train. Maybe I have to stay under 15 or something? I don't know. This is strange. I'm going to stay under 15 and see what happens. Ish. 15-ish. I'm also tapping the key for the AWS alerter a lot. AWS is the thing that the driver has to acknowledge every once in a while to prove that they are, still awake, or to acknowledge that there is a speed change or a yellow signal. And I think what happened is I didn't acknowledge the AWS for that first yellow signal that we passed. I think that is actually what happened. But I am confused why we were then thrown back into emergency in the tunnel. So we will see. All right, so great question, Pie Man. So in American trains, it's usually, well, it's more complicated than this. Way more complicated than this. It used to be just simple: green is go, yellow is proceed with caution, assuming that the next signal will be red, and red means danger or stop. It's way more complicated now. There's 2-aspect and 3-aspect signals. There's signals up high and there's dwarf signals down low. All kinds of complications. That's a repeater signal to my to my left there, by the way. In British signaling, at least on the East Coast Main Line, it's green for proceed. Flashing yellow means expect the next signal. Flashing double yellow, means expect the next signal to be a flashing single yellow. Flashing single yellow means expect the next signal to be danger or red. Now, this apparently was trying to get us to slow down for this 70, so we will diverge off to the left. Often it will try to, put you through a series of signals to slow you down, not because there's another train in front of you, but because of a diverging switch ahead. And that is also true of American trains. You might have a series of colors that doesn't mean slow down because there's another train. It could mean be aware that the track is going to be switched so that you diverge off of the main line. Hey, Eric. Thank you for joining. I admit I don't know train simulator enthusiasts, but welcome. It sounds like I should know. My knowledge of YouTube train simulation is pretty sparse. I started with Moleman and just sort of got into playing and then streaming Train Simulator from there. I will give you a quick look at the train that we're operating today. I am showing off a custom skin of a P42, dragging along a set of reskinned HST coaches with CPRR1, a reskinned Class 802, bringing up the rear. And we are, of course, on the ECML. We're going to pass straight through Nebworth today. Going to try to make up a little bit of lost time from that unexpected emergency brake application. So what is Train Simulator Enthusiast? Sounds like something I should know about. Oh, obviously I'm also on Reddit's r/Train Simulator, Train Sim subreddit, but I am largely a lurker there. There's probably quite a large community of Train Simulator fans that I should know more about. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. For the sake of streaming, my setup's pretty rudimentary. I have one of my monitors showing Train Simulator, streaming through Twitch and YouTube. You know, pretty decent, pretty decent. I have quite a powerful graphics card, especially for powering a single monitor, so things are not bad. You know, of course, I'll always critique the headlights on the P42 that sort of wash everything out, but, you know, it actually looks like the sky is blended into the rest of the world a little bit more smoothly. But I was telling these fine folks earlier that I have 5 monitors on my computer that make up one big monitor-ish, you know, simulated monitor, and I would like to show that off in a future stream. And I generally don't do that because my computer, at least actually with my old graphics card, struggled to stream at some like 4400 by 2200 or so while also playing the game. Maybe my new one can do it. I don't know. Alright, let us stop at Stevenage. Ladies and gentlemen, our next station stop will be Stevenage. What I certainly think of as the major halfway point between London and Peterborough. The stations tend to be much further apart after Stevenage, and it appears to be a much more rural setting. I feel like we're pretty much going through the suburbs and the suburbs of the suburbs of London up until Stevenage, but that may be just my perception. Come on, Train Simulator, you can load the next section. Nice, congratulations. Glad to hear you are at about 5K. Whoops, we are slowing down way too fast. 5K followers, that's amazing. I was saying earlier that although I have a little over 3K followers, that most of them follow me for my graphing calculator content because that is what I am most known for. I am a train fan of all stripes in real life, but my internet presence is very much calculators. Stevenage is a bad place. I've been told by a little birdie that Stevenage is a bad place, and I'm curious for clarification on what's so bad about Stevenage. I wonder if this is a controversial viewpoint. I may be mistaken. Perhaps I haven't been told that Stevenage is a bad place. Thank you, Train Simulator enthusiasts. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. In fact, you know, you come at a very good time because I was just going to ask these folks here. You know, most of my following continues to be about calculators and not at all about trains or Minecraft, which I also very occasionally stream or make videos about. And I'm curious if you have any tips about how to build up a larger following for Train Simulator. I'm pretty proud of some of the reskin rolling stock that I've made. I think I have a fairly wide variety of routes that I like to operate. I certainly enjoyed my streams, but I'm just me. I feel like there are a reasonable mix of professionalism and things that go horribly wrong, but I'm sure there is a sweet spot of cool things to include that would make more people visit. And I'm sure, you know, a lot of it is people just not knowing about them. There's so much content on YouTube that it's hard to be discovered. Ladies and gentlemen, Stevenage. Welcome to Stevenage. You are alighting on platform 4. We will be speedily departing Stevenage, so if Stevenage is your final destination, please make sure you have all of your bags, that you've checked the overhead bins. If there are overhead bins in your car, there may or may not actually be overhead bins. If there are, please check them, or check under your seat and make sure you have everything. We do not want your stuff, you want your stuff. Guard has blown his whistle. Let's go. Get a little bit of drive-by action. Ooh, that's a road. We don't want to be on this dual carriageway. Is this a dual carriageway? I think it's a dual carriageway. Help, where's the train? There's the train. We are going to be on an overpass over this dual carriageway. There we go. That's nice. Very nice. That is some bloom. Holy bloom. Welcome back, iPhoenix. How was your Minecrafting? Eric. Sorry, I will call you Eric. You did say that earlier. Yeah, I've never really investigated Facebook as a streaming platform. I don't know. I have some pretty significant objections about Facebook in general and its various places in the world. I don't want to get into politics, but Facebook is, although I am on it, and annoyingly, it's where I can get in touch with a lot of my longer time friends. It's pretty cancerous otherwise. So, hey, Logical Joe, thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's been forever since I've streamed, and my streams in the past probably have not lined up when you were available. Great to have you with us. And everyone else who's stuck around. I see there's 7 of us, 7 of you here at the moment. Eric, do you find that you get more people joining your stream on Facebook, even if perhaps they don't actually subscribe and stick around? Based on the fact that you just said the reach is unreal, it seems like that might in fact be the case. Also, I'm curious, is there a way to stream as like a page and not as yourself? Because I feel like I wouldn't necessarily want to stream as my personal Facebook and have the whole world be aware of my personal Facebook. Also, we're about to start speeding. Let's not. It has come to my attention that your personal experience with Stevenage may vary. Seems like what I'm going to have to do is ride all of the British trains in real life, which is, as you know, a long time goal of mine. Running a company and there being a global pandemic on kind of makes that a bit of a challenge. But one day, I promise, I will ride so many British trains. I will take so many pictures of British trains. I will take so many videos, and they will be here on this YouTube channel. So that is, you can hold me to that. That will be a thing that happens. $2,000 views on a basic stream. Damn, that's a lot. Wow. Cool. Yeah. I certainly, subject all of my friends to much social media on every platform. When my startup does something cool, when GeoPipe wins $1 million, for example, or when there's something cool that I'm releasing on Chematech, or when somebody else releases something cool on Chematech. So, if you're a personal friend of mine, I apologize for that. I certainly don't do a great job of constraining my professional life to my professional life only. For example, I might ask you to like my my company's Facebook page if you're in fact a personal friend of mine. So it sounds like the conversion is not great, though, that if people join your stream on Facebook that they don't really necessarily find their way to subscribe to you on Twitch or YouTube or another kind of higher quality video platform. Thanks, Pie Man. Yeah, I know you love my social media content. Did you share GeoPipe's $1 million win announcement 3 times, or was that a Facebook glitch? Non-stop calculators. I agree. This is a person after my own heart. Thank you. Calculators, topic, best calculators. Some people may find them boring. I find them fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now passing Hitchin. If you wanted to alight at Hitchin today, I encourage you to join me in waving happily at the platform as it passes. And trains, non-stop trains, yes. I've told the story a million times. If you watched any of my videos, you've probably heard this at least a dozen times, but I was very much a train kid. If there's a such thing as a train kid, it was me. Through my high school and college years, I became not so much a train person. I kind of lost my love, not lost my love of trains. It was always lurking there in the back, but hey, let's go to 80 miles an hour. I certainly didn't. Wow, sorry to interrupting myself. The sky looks really quite pretty. I don't remember it looking so pretty before. I think they may have actually improved something in Train Simulator. I like that. Let's take a screenshot. Through my college and high school years, I wasn't so enthusiastic about trains. It was lying there in the back, and then after a while, I had an opportunity to take some more trains, and that kind of rekindled my love of trains. And now I am back to being obsessed with trains. So that's a thing. That's a thing that happened. You too should be obsessed with trains, even if you were just watching this because you originally were a calculator person. I feel like there's a decent overlap between people who are enthusiastic about highly technical things like calculators and highly technical machines and stuff like trains. You should get on board with that, no pun intended. Sorry. Maybe pun intended. We're speeding. I will say for all of my nearly overshooting platforms, I, number one, haven't actually overshot any platforms I wanted to stop at, and number two, have done very little speeding. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. So as you can see, we're getting into a little bit more of rural surroundings here. Fewer platforms, fewer trains, fewer houses, fewer apartment buildings. And we can enjoy the British countryside at twilight. Probably a nice place to be. Excuse me, train, Eric? That's a lot of constraints. If you stream 2 streams equaling 4 hours over 14 days and 100 likes. That's, wow, amazing. So they don't want to waste their bandwidth on you, despite probably making lots and lots of money off advertising to your followers. That's interesting. Interesting. I think I need a drink of water. Excuse me. Arlesey. I was going to say Arsley, but that is clearly not what this stop is called. Arlesey. I may make the executive decision to just keep going until we get to Peterborough, unless I have a good reason not to. I see I've been live for 1 hour and 18 minutes, which I think, yep, I know, I'm still here. That little beeping was my train threatening that it's going to go into emergency. Hello, other train. Bye, other train. Then I'm not going to stop until we get to Peterborough unless I spot a station that I really feel like stopping at. It is getting to be quite night indeed. Quite dark. That's fun. I think you did share it a few times, Simon. It's alright. I felt honored that you thought it was so significant that it needed to be shared 3 times, not just once. Let's just idle our throttle and see if we can drift down to 75 miles an hour. I know I've said it many a time. I feel like it bears reiterating. I find operating trains and training simulator to be very zen. Certainly there are days where I try especially hard, especially when I'm doing a career scenario where you get at best 1,000 points, and if you do anything wrong, like speed by 1/10 of a mile an hour, you get points off. I concentrate much harder in those scenarios, but there is a certain zen to just kind of operating through the countryside, not having a lot of distractions other than chatting with you all and enjoying the ride. Ooh, look at that sunset. That is very pretty. That deserves a screenshot. That is quite pretty indeed. Well done, Train Simulator. Wait, that's not a sunset. That's just a bridge with... Oh, that's disappointing. I thought that was a pretty sunset. Aw, see you later, John. Hope to see you on the Minecraft server or on the next train stream. I was a little bit late on that. Sorry. There was a grade crossing there. There are some sneaky grade crossings here. I think I should pay pretty close attention in case there are whistle boards for me. And we have slowed down way too much. let's do something about that. We need speed and power. Is that a whistle board? Yes, it is. There we go. Beautiful. Two shorts, two longs, a short and a long. Excellent, John. See you around. Now, at a certain point, this track, Biggleswade. Sorry, I find that name funny for some reason. Let's not speed, and let's stop at Biggleswade. I owe Biggleswade that for laughing at its name. Very good, John. That's a reasonable thing to do. So, let me tell you while I try to stop at Biggleswade about the P42 that I reskinned. So, you know, obviously, I've reskinned other things in the CPRR maroon and gold and black livery in the past. That is what CPRR's livery is supposed to be. I've taken a few artistic liveries with this particular train. For example, the nose is supposed to... The logo, excuse me. I don't know if you can see it with the headlights. The logo is supposed to be red and blue, like a very bright red and blue. I've made it maroon and gold here. Maybe I need to change my headcanon for the CPRR so that the logo is in fact maroon and gold. I don't know. It's a little bit nicer than bright red and bright blue. In fact, I'll ask you all what you think about that. But I wanted to take a P42, which is currently the locomotive that Amtrak uses most for their long distance routes, although they're going to be switching to a Siemens, not the SC44, I think that's for medium length routes, but I think it's ACS44, which is a diesel electric locomotive. Anyway, the P42 is currently used for most of their medium distance and long distance routes, and I felt I absolutely needed a P42 in CPRR livery. I now have quite a few trains in my nice maroon and gold livery. My HST, my full train, as you can see, I included quite a bit of it here. There are also HST power cars that are recolored, so reskinned, so I can make an entire high-speed train out of CPRR livery. I have CPRR 1. I'm not sure if doors just opened. That was a little bit ambitious on that. Let's take a look. Doors indeed did not open. Let's open the doors. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Biggleswade. If you would like to get off at Biggleswade, this would be the right time at which to do it. And please bring all of your belongings with you because our conductors already have plenty of clutter in their houses and they don't want to bring your stuff home with them. Biggleswade, this is a semi-fast service terminating at Peterborough. And now I know to not be tricked by what looks like a sunset, and that's actually just our incredibly bright headlights bouncing off an overpass. We haven't gotten into the really fast sections yet where this P42 will get angry if I try to go as fast as the speed limit. Sure, Eric, that sounds like fun. Actually, I think it is the most watched train-related video on my YouTube channel is a tutorial that is now quite a few years old on reskinning trains in Train Simulator. It's probably very much due for me to update it, and I should probably make part of that updated video showing off some of my reskins. I basically just show them as part of routes that I run. I don't really have dedicated videos where I say, check out my cool reskins. So that could be fun. What kind of repaints and or custom routes do you do, Eric? I thought I was about to speed, but I wasn't. I miss the little AWS dings that I get in British trains when I go over the AWS and TPWS ramps. That is sad. These headlights are so bright that I can't tell if these boards we're passing are whistle boards or speed limit boards. Well, at least we won't not see something on the tracks, I guess, that's far away. That's the upside. You know, the problem with this being so zen now we're speeding is there's definitely a tendency to just sort of fall into enjoying operating the route and staring at it, which does not very good streaming make, because banter is what makes a good stream. You know, and I'm sure I disadvantage myself a bit insisting on professionalism, because it's definitely more entertaining if bad stuff happens all the time, like crashing trains, but I don't know, I have this weird thought in my mind that if one day as a startup burnout plan I decide I want to, you know, become an Amtrak driver, and they do some research on me and find a bunch of videos on YouTube where I crash trains, they might be like, yeah, is this guy actually who we want to have driving our trains? Maybe not so much. So, you know, there is certainly an aspect of anything you put online stays online to my hesitation to have reckless videos on YouTube, even if they are just virtual trains, not real trains. Main Central, very cool, very cool. Since you are not a person who has watched all of my videos in the past, I can bore everyone else by telling you that one of the reasons I started a startup that models the real world using AI and builds large-scale 3D models of reality is that I have long wanted to make a New York to at least Essex Junction, Vermont, possibly St. Albans, Vermont, that, you know, covers the entire 300-plus mile route. And because I have so many projects and never would have the time to sit there and manually place objects in 300 miles of Train Simulator, not to mention the fact that the editor is horrific, I would love to make GeoPipe able to automatically create the entire route from New York City all the way to Vermont. So that would be fun if I ever get the free time to actually work on that. I would very much love to share the results with you and perhaps get your help doing, you know, final detailing if there is somebody skilled who could give me feedback on it. I wouldn't say that's the only reason I'm doing GeoPipe, but it's definitely a significant motivation, being able to have more and better virtual train games. Yep. Especially, you know, where you have a place where prestige is the main reason people do what they do, that, you know, nobody makes lots of money. People just have cachet and, you know, knowing more and being better. Hey, it's a wild Eames. How's it going, Eames? How's it going? Oh, I mean, well, yeah, sure, tourist too. You're always on camera of some sort. you have to be super careful. I'm happy to say that we don't have any major problems. I personally have not done anything terrible. I think I've pretty much played it by the book, and on the whole, although we have people of all ages and all skill levels who are on our staff, that everything tends to go pretty well indeed. A personal project, a personal calculator project, or a personal uncalculator project, James? In case you were snoozing and watching my stream, hopefully that woke you up. I kid, of course. I didn't do that just to wake up anybody who's snoozing on stream. There is a certain appeal to the lighted windows of a train flying past in the night. Some of my most fond memories of Amtrak are being on the other side of those windows, being in a little tiny room out all by myself in the quiet of the night, passing through the middle of the country where there is probably no one except the people on the train for miles and miles around. There's a certain solitude that is just so calming and relaxing to that. Let's not speed. I absolutely will check out your work, Eric. I think I have probably found a very interesting resource for Train Simulator. One of the things I found is, beyond the scenarios that Dovetail provides themselves, I've very much looked for alternate scenarios, rolling stock, and so on, and the quality in the workshop is quite inconsistent. So I feel like somebody who dedicates as much time as it sounds like you have into content probably has some quite higher quality content, so I look forward to seeing that. St. Neot's coming up. I feel like I'm probably butchering that and not saying it properly, but I can't think of any other way I would say St. Neot's. Maybe blur them together like St. Albans, like St. Neot's? St. Neot's? Maybe. Who knows? Promote community. So I don't know how familiar you are with Chematech. You've probably seen a lot of people talking about calculators here. About 20 years ago, I founded. Wow, this is what happens when I try to do two things at once. Founded a community of enthusiasts, either creating cool projects for graphing calculators, like the Texas Instruments calculators everybody uses in school. It has since accrued some 25,000 people who have come and either shown off their projects, volunteered to teach other people, or come and learn programming. And it's definitely one of my most favorite things that I've done in my life, because the sense of community of having people who have gone from being my virtual friends to my real life friends that I've known for now 15 or 20 years in many cases, seeing where people have gone with what they've learned and grown up and gone into engineering or programming or computer science or whatever, has been highly satisfying and gratifying. Blow my horn for St. Neot so nobody's too close to the platform, to the edge of the platform. I think we can go a little faster than that. We want to get our passengers where we're going. Thank you, Pie Man. That's it's always great to get confirmation on that. I've my feeling is that a lot of people have. Are we really at 30,000 plus now? That's amazing. I've seen people grow and mature. Even seeing people who came to Chematech as, what I think people in other communities call squeakers, slightly loud and immature users who have a ton of enthusiasm, which is great, but maybe not a ton of maturity with interacting with communities, and learn how to be great participants in a community and contribute and create cool projects and then go on to teach others, and take their lives further. People that I met when they were in high school and are now married and doing amazing things. It's really cool. It's okay. Thanks, Nathaniel. Thanks a lot. We know that you think Omnimagia is the best, most amazing place, and Chematech is a distant second. It's alright. You can be wrong. It's fine. I'll still be friends with you. Sutniats. Sinalbans. Alright. Sorry, my American tongue cannot pronounce British things properly, for which I constantly apologize. Clearly, I think we can all agree that Code Walrus is the best calculator community site, and anybody who says otherwise is imagining things. And it always amazes me how many little communities there actually are. You know, I feel like people from outside the calculator community would never guess just how many people are incredibly enthusiastic about graphing calculators of all things, to the point of spending huge chunks of their lives, you know, programming them and giving out things for free that they don't make any money off of. And again, they just do it for the prestige and the fame and the glory. You know, and that makes me think that there are just fractally many little communities out there, big and small, where people are super into some particular aspect of something. Code Walrus is basically a meme. I mean, I feel like they embrace that, don't they? Including the emoticons that are all just a walrus in a million different colors and with different faces and so on. All bands. I'm pretty sure that the Vermont St. Albans is St. Albans and not St. Albans. I think I saw... Oh, hey, let's get down to 50. I mean, not 50. So, Train Simulator has this thing, you've probably seen it before, I know I've complained about it before, where occasionally speed limit signs will overlap in a very confusing way. I swear that said 50 before it straightened itself out and now says 80. Who knows? Homebrew communities for various devices. That's exactly right, Nathaniel. Absolutely. You know, Geek Boy has, one of our members, Geek Boy / Tim, has introduced me to a number of those communities. And Nathaniel, I don't know if you introduced him or he introduced you. I think you're also a member of some of those communities, maybe? But yeah, that's an interesting one as well. So it's nice that people are passionate about things. I think I certainly, you know, I'm waxing philosophical here. I feel like I have the kids these days mentality, especially from being an occasional professor in college, that kids these days consume more than they produce, and that they just sort of sit there and watch things and don't really make stuff. Maybe I underestimate the creativity required for, you know, the things that kids do produce. Like, you know, certainly I get my fair share of guffaws about memes and meme content that is, in many cases, extremely creative. But I feel like creating big things, big projects, like things that require you to sit there for several weeks and make it, like huge calculator programs, just don't really get made. So, I don't know. What do you all think? I feel like we've talked about this possibly even recently in past streams, that, you know, you don't see quite as much producing and more consuming. But maybe that's just how, as every generation gets older, they feel about the younger generations. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, it's, you know, I certainly, you know, not that it sounds like you need any encouragement. I encourage you to stick with what you're doing. It sounds like you're making your way to building up a big community, and I hope, just like the small amount of the Train Simulator community I'm aware of, like, you know, Moleman getting me into what it was like to not just operate Train Simulator sitting all by myself and having fun, but, you know, drive trains and share that with others. And I'm saying drive here. Hello, HST. Was that an HST or was that a, like a 378 or something? I think that was not a HST. You know, realizing that there was joy to sharing trains with others and getting them interested and maybe doing the same in the future is a great deal of fun. Let's blow our horn for Huntingdon. Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, the semi-fast service's next stop and final destination will be Peterborough. We are making our way along. We have another 17.5 miles to Peterborough. I realize I haven't been calling out our progress along the way. It is currently 7:24 p.m. and we look forward to getting you to Peterborough quite quickly, because we have 17 miles left and we're traveling on in at 80 miles an hour. I estimate that we will be there in about 15 minutes. I have been generously offered a means by which in the future, when I make a train stream and I am in England or in Britain, I will pronounce all of the things properly. That is exciting. That is very exciting indeed. So, here's the challenge. Here's the challenge, though. What about if I am in Wales? I feel like my American pronunciation of things to my British pronunciation of things is as my British pronunciation things has been to my Welsh pronunciation of things, where it's just complete nonsense. So I challenge anybody who might help me learn how to pronounce things properly. Teach me how to pronounce Welsh things properly. Mwahahaha. So I usually say borough, because like New York City has 5 boroughs: Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and the Bronx. But I thought it was bro, like B-R-O-ish, Peterborough. There's a little bit of an extra tongue movement on the borough, but not quite. But maybe I'm wrong about that. You can barely speak English. You can barely speak American English? I mean, you're American, so you can barely speak English. I feel like that's true of all of us. That used to be the case for me as well, Eames/Nathaniel. I feel like I have a terrible tendency to make all of my projects jobs in and of themselves, like get so super laser focused, detailed into them that they are just as much stress as my, actual work, to the point where my work almost takes not anymore, maybe more when I was in school, that my schoolwork almost took a back seat to my projects. Any English. Well done. Oh wait, you didn't realize that? Yes, Nathaniel is Eames and Eames is Nathaniel. The presence of gods. Very nice. It's weird. I wish there was... Hello, we're speeding. This is what happens when I stop to take a drink of water. I miss a speeding, and I miss a grade crossing. Note to self: when operating real trains, don't take a drink of water. I think I don't. I don't think I do anything other than sit there with my gloves on my... on the brake handle and on the controller, and just stare ahead. Also, I have this weird quirk. I don't know where I picked it up. I think I started doing it in Train Simulator, but because we don't have any rules against doing this, and I observed that it's a nice thing for Japanese operators do to maintain situational awareness of pointing at all the things they need to be aware of, like wayside signs and signals. So just for funsies, when operating at the museum, I point at all the signals and signs, and I feel like that brings me a little bit more situational awareness. So there you go. Random aside. So if you ever do visit the museum at which I operate, and I happen to be operating the day that you're there, you might observe me doing that. I'm not really plugging for you to come and visit, but post-pandemic, when we all can, actually go places and not worry that we're going to get a life-threatening illness, you all should. I mentioned that many of the people here have turned into my real-life friends and colleagues. Chemitechians far and wide have definitely, just sort of interacted with my life in general. Like, I met Mirthsoft, Sean/Mirthsoft, because he lived in Ohio and he was moving to Massachusetts. He needed a couch to crash on his way from point A to point B. And I actually didn't even know him that well from the community, but he came, we met in person, he crashed on my couch, and then we were like great friends. Many of the others, though, I've met at Maker Faire. I feel like I started talking about Maker Faire long ago in this stream. Maybe I didn't. And therefore, I spent. And that's the end. No, but Maker Faire has been a great opportunity. We went 7 years in a row to World Maker Faire as Chematech to kind of simultaneously show off all the cool things you could do with creating personal projects that are calculator related, and an excuse for a whole bunch of us from across the country and, you know, even multiple countries to meet in person. Eames and somebody else from the community came from Canada to be with us. Other people came from around the country, and it's a lot of fun. So I feel like when real life and virtual life cross, you know, other than the weird, slightly, I feel like it's not so much a thing anymore, but, you know, slightly apprehensive sense of, are these people actually serial killers? Are they gonna actually murder me if I meet them in real life? My parents told me not to tell people my real name or meet anybody from the internet. Then again, now we use the internet to call people to our houses and get into strangers' cars, so who knows? Peterborough. Well, yes, but my American tongue also says trailing things with fewer R's than a British accent does. So I feel like I'm saying them the American British way. I don't know. Clearly, I need more training on this. No pun intended. Oh man, I mean, you know, as you know, Vermont is near and dear to my heart. As some of you know, some of you do not. My wanting to operate trains up to Vermont is not just an idle, random choice. Vermont is very much in my future, and in my past, and in my present. Hooray! So, sorry, that sentence kind of got away from me. But, you know, living in the mountains and being away from humanity does certainly hold a certain appeal to me. Now we're getting into some fast speed limits. All right. Thank you, ECML. Also, let's see. We have fewer people on, 5 of you, I see. So you may already be familiar with what we're doing, but quick summary. I am on the East Coast Main Line. I am operating a strange hybrid train of nonsense. In the front, I have something you cannot see at all. Where did my headlights go? My headlights are on. Why can't I see them? What is Train Simulator doing here? Hold on. Ha! There's your Doppler effect. Let me not do everything at once. I am operating a reskinned Central Park Railroad P42 diesel-electric 4,200 horsepower locomotive at the front. Trailing are 8 HST Class 43 type, well, not Class 43, that's the power car, but, you know, HST coaches. And at the back we have a Hitachi Class 802, 801, 802, 800 reskinned CPRR power car, acting like another coach. Alright, we have slowed down. There are no hidden speed limits coming up. We have just merged from 3 tracks onto 2. And let's gun it. Let's also blow the horn for this. I really object to these headlights. I really, really do, because I cannot see a thing. I did promise you could wire my Vermont house. If I build a Vermont house from scratch and they honor other states' licenses, I mean, I will absolutely, happily accept your expertise in wiring my house, Pie Man. Thank you. So now I can see headlights. I don't even know what was going on before. Speed and power! Yep. It even makes the whooshing noise of the gaps between carriages going by. I just love that. Just love it. So I am from New York. I feel like I'm not giving away any major personal details. If you watch any of my streams or look up my name basically anywhere, you can probably find out that I'm from New York. I've spent a great deal of my time in Vermont, and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth from New York to Vermont and vice versa. I have quite a few friends who have either been in New Hampshire long term or have recently moved to New Hampshire. So hope you're enjoying it there in New Hampshire. Yep, that was the subway system to which I not so subtly referred. It's a great place. I don't mean to disparage anyone there. You know, I feel like nobody would deny that there's always a little bit of politics in these communities, but everybody who's there is super dedicated to what they do. And very, yeah, you know, everybody sort of chips in to make it a success. Yes, I know. See, this train gets unhappy if I go over 100. I know this is something I could change. I know. Put on some dynamics and then just see if we can hover around 100. You see that overspeed is indicated as 100 here. This train can certainly do more than 100, but whatevs. We'll do the right thing. Just 3 1/3-ish miles to Peterborough. So we are nearly at the end of my stream. I feel like I haven't actually, you know, normally I spend quite a bit of this time talking about what I've been up to lately. And I feel like there's been so much interesting banter from you all, keeping it interesting, that, you know, I haven't done that. So I'll have to save that for the next stream. And you all will have to keep me honest, as I said, and force me to do another stream sooner rather than later. Hey, let's get down to 40. How about that? How about that? Let's not go 93 and a 40. And let's also have Train Simulator struggle to, you know, load the next section. Getting Massachusetts-fied. Oh man, that means you probably don't know how to drive cars anymore. I'm sorry. Come on, emergency, really? I'm already in suppression. And I am slowing down. Why would you throw me into emergency? Train Simulator, I don't understand you sometimes. I didn't miss an AWS alert. I was tapping Q. Grumble, grumble, grumble. This is what happens when I take American trains on British routes. They don't quite know how to handle those British routes, and everything goes horrifically, terribly, and tragically wrong. Fine. We'll do proper procedure. Handle is off. Hand it forward. Release the brakes. Throttle on. Yeah, New Hampshire does seem like a cool state. You know, I've spent enough time around Vermonters, can't pronounce my T's, Vermonters, that I feel like I've inherited a little bit of their occasional New Hampshire hate. You know, upside down Vermont is not the place to be, apparently. But honestly, you know, other than not having the Green Mountains, they seem pretty similar to me. Sorry, I didn't actually say that. I apologize, Vermonters. I swear, I'm one of you. Who even knows? Even if I lived my entire... I feel like if I was born in New York, moved to Vermont when I was 1 day old, and lived there my entire life, that they'd be like, no, you're a Flatlander. You're not a real Vermonter. You don't belong here. You should visit the West Coast, the East Coast more. You've probably seen plenty of the West Coast. East Coast, Best Coast, obviously. Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm just watching my speed limit here. I don't want to do whatever it was that made Train Simulator unhappy with me. So normally, if you're going above the speed limit in train... Come on! See, it did it again. That's super weird. Does it want me to stay in suppression as I near these speed limits, even if I'm under the speed limit? I don't know. I know that American locomotives these days have quite aggressive speed curves that they try to keep their engineers to, and if they don't think you're in a good speed curve, they'll get angry at you. But they'll at least just give you an alert and let you, correct things. And if you continue to not listen to them, they'll give you a penalty brake application, but they won't throw you into emergency. So this behavior confuses me greatly. Ladies and gentlemen, we realize you're still there in the back of our train. There you are. Maybe. I don't actually see anyone. We assume you're still here. Maybe they all just hopped out in the middle of the tracks. But we are nearly at Peterborough. We promise. We are encountering those same technical difficulties, and we will get you to our destination and your destination as soon as possible. I have never been to Hawaii. I don't even think I knew that there were trains in Hawaii, which is probably incredibly embarrassing for a train fan. That's how you know I'm not a die-hard enthusiast. I'm not cool enough to know everything. West Coast, not best coast. How dare you? My strategy is going to just keep hitting my alerter here, my Q, and hope that makes Train Simulator happy. If I go back and watch this and realize that I ran a signal or something, then I'm going to be super embarrassed. But I don't think that's a thing that was happening. I think Train Simulator was just being silly. Come on. You can load Peterborough. There you go. Good job. Well done. Thank you, 5 people. I am very honored that you have stuck around for either the whole time or just however long you've stuck around. It's always so much more fun to share these with you. I started by just recording these and then posting them up on YouTube. And I eventually switched to recording, hello, HST! Recording streams, doing it live, and bantering with people while I recorded. I think I got probably significantly less professional with the distraction of actually reading what people are saying. Probably speed quite a bit more. But on the other hand, I like to think that these are much more interesting with people for me to actually interact with. So thank you. I couldn't do it without you all. Too much time on calculators, yeah. Am I still, though? I feel like everybody on Chematech complains that I'm no longer around and actually working on cool projects. Even though, oh, come on. What was that? What was that? See, it's just confused. I'm going to be super indignant about this. I did nothing. I'm barely going to last millennium. I'm trying to crawl into Peterborough. You can see at the end of the Peterborough platform, Peterborough, the Peterborough platform is less than a mile away. And yet this P42 is like, no, we're not going to go. We're just going to go into emergency all the time. Are you an expert at trains? Do you drive trains, operate trains in real life? Do you know what I'm doing wrong? I want to know. Tell me in the comments, especially if you're watching this afterward and you're like, no, you silly person, I know exactly what you're doing wrong. Too much time on geopipe. Now that's something I think we can all get on board with. I think we can all assume that too much of my life goes to geopipe and not to, say, sleeping or eating or relaxing or calculators or trains or anything else that exists in my life. So that's a thing. Nicholas Powell, the one and only. Have you been here the whole time lurking? Or were you eavesdropping on me IRL and you were like, ha 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 ha, I will chime in. You know, I should have let you know when I was starting, but I was afraid, obviously, it didn't even occur to me. Obviously, I'm going to backfill this and say that secretly, subconsciously, I was afraid you were going to do ridiculous things, like come to my door and shout at me. In fact, I'm probably making a mistake by saying that. If doing wrong, don't. It's like the classic bash.org quote. So, I have this great robot that is super powerful, but it takes lots of detailed observations about its surroundings, does careful computations on them, then discards them and runs into walls. That is clearly what GeoPipe's AI should do. It should collect detailed information about everything in the world, create a complete model. I hear laughing outside my door. I hope you all can't hear this. And then, you know, just randomly reconstruct the world as it feels like. So even though they come from totally different areas of my life, Nick and Pie Man not only have met in real life, but I think I'm not revealing too much personal info to say that Nick has cut Pie Man's hair. So that is a thing that has happened. Now that is professionalism, getting right under the speed limit as we reach the speed limit. That is the correct operation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pulling into Peterborough, platform 5. This is our final stop. If you try to stay on the train, don't. I encourage you at this time to begin collecting your belongings, putting on your coat because it is fall and it's a little bit nippy outside, and making sure you have every single one of your belongings that you boarded today's train with. It has been a great pleasure to operate today's train with you and to take you from wherever you boarded to Peterborough. This is our final destination. Thank you for riding with the Central Park Railroad. I hope we see you again very soon, and enjoy the rest of your night. Now I guess I'll say goodbye to you all as well. You've been eating for years. Well done, you have reached the end of this quick drive scenario. Just for fun, let's see how it panned out for us. Probably not super well. Yes, I'm sad it has to end as well. I hope you all have an excellent rest of your evening. I hope you stay healthy, sane, happy, productive, all the good things in the midst of COVID. I hope that we can all be free of this soon, but please, in the meantime, be careful and be far away from people and wear a mask. Don't be an idiot. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hope to see you around soon on another train simulator video. And thank you again. Talk to you all soon.